think this is all about negotiations right now. And we heard from the president, essentially, they're giving them an off ramp. We already heard the newly sworn in president of Venezuela change her tune from saying Maduro's a legitimate president. This was, against the law, what happened. And now she's saying she's changed her tune quickly, saying we will work with the United States. And I think that is what President Trump is doing here. Is he is an expert level negotiator, and I don't like every single time this type of foreign policy happens, this is how he negotiates, and he does it quite successfully. And so I think what we're going to see in the future is President Trump having a significant partnership with Venezuela, and a positive one. Time will tell in terms of how much he wants to work with the United States and come to an agreement in terms of what the United States is looking for. The United States has been very clear. They don't want Russian and China influence in Venezuela. They don't want drugs flowing into the United States and the criminals that have come into the United States as well. And so I think if the government of Venezuela wants to work with the United States in helping prevent that from happening and basically being the exact opposite of Maduro, then maybe things will work out. If not, I think there could be some changes.
What's the wider regional story? I know you're about to talk about oil, which is a Venezuelan story, but it's also a Cuban story, right? Because Cuba had been relying on Venezuela for years and years, and now, they don't have them anymore. And it seemed, as the president was saying last night, he thinks they're going to fall on their own. The Colombia side story maybe is more than a side story. You see the people in the streets of Rio alive right now. What's the wider regional story? Like, for example, is Cuba about to fall?
Well, I think it has global implications. The United States having significant control or management over Venezuela's oil is not a bad thing, despite critics seeming to push this message whatsoever. Do you think it would be better if Russia was in control of Venezuelan oil, or China, or Iran, or some of these other nations, like you just said, Cuba, having significant access to some of that oil? The United States managing this is a good thing for the world, especially the Western Hemisphere. When it comes to Cuba, as you said, I think the United States' stance has been clear. They are done with communism in the Western Hemisphere, and they are done with these drug lords running some of these countries, and they are going to, I think, push back significantly to ensure some of these communist regimes are no more.
Yeah, it feels like I heard some criticism of that approach, saying it's like a throwback to the 60s, like, spheres of influence and that kind of thing, to the Cold War days. But you think it's a positive, the domination of the hemisphere, if that's what the quote-unquote Donroe doctrine is that keeps being mentioned.
Well, just strategically, geographically, in terms of how close Cuba is to the United States,
right,
it poses national security threats to the United States to have this communist island that continues to allow, our adversaries to use it for their own adversarial purposes against us. And so, yes, it's been absolutely not a good thing for the United States to have the Cuban communist regime in our backyard. And I think that this administration is saying enough. We're not just going to let you sit there and allow our adversaries to operate against us in such a close proximity.
Amber, thanks again for the time.